Hi, everybody. So today I wanted to make another video to update my previous 2 reviews of Perplexity AI to get some things right and to correct some things, because Perplexity AI has also changed or has some new features. Let me show you. So here's Perplexity AI. And in previous videos, I've talked about how it is an interface to Chat GPT, and it allows, if you will, a more narrow focus a more narrow, if you will, interface with Chat GPT, which is also allowing it to refer to, if you will, things that Chat GPT cannot see or has not seen. If I'm not mistaken, it's now trained to more recent data. Up until 2022, if I'm not mistaken. And also the newest feature is that it's over here on the right. It allows for you to now interact with GPT-4, right? So if you're in just the plain Chat GPT, you're only using 3.5 unless you are a plus user, a paid user. But if you wanted to use GPT-4, the more advanced version of GPT, you can use it through Perplexity AI for free through their interface. But as you can see, you only get 5 uses every 4 hours. So it really limits how much you can ask GPT-4. We'll get to that in a second. But what I wanted to really correct was, in my previous 2 videos, I really forgot to show this, that in fact, and I guess it was just a slip of the mind, that you can also narrow, if you will, the parameters of your search or your prompts. So in previous videos, I said it wasn't very good at academic research or for purposes of scholarly research, but indeed it is useful because you can select the option for Perplexity AI to search in published academic papers as it's suggested. So let's click on that. So I've selected that. So let's go back to our tried and true search term, which is explain postmodernism. Yeah, so it's quite quick. It says here postmodernism is a general movement, blah, blah, blah. It also likes to here put a number of features of postmodernism under these bullets. And then it has a concluding paragraph. So that's quite good. But what is, of course, what I think for us in terms of academic research, we're wondering if it can provide citations or if it can point us to the direction from which these answers are derived. And it does, right? Here, there is a form of citation. Here it has, number 1 is here, which is a publication that if you click on it, it would download. And it's referring in the first instance, in this first sentence about it being developed in the late 20th centuries, it's referring to this article published through Srinivas publication. I don't know this publication. I don't know the International Journal of Management, Technology, and Social Sciences, but it's written by these 2 scholars in Srinivas University in Mangalore, India, dated January 2022. Refining nationhood and nationality through historiographic metafiction in the shadow lines. I'm not so sure if that would be my go-to reference in the first paragraph of a question that says explain postmodernism. I probably would have gone to more well-known and probably more key texts. So I think that's a bit of a misstep. What's number 2? Let's see. It takes us to Semantic Scholar, and it's found through Semantic Scholar another article called Postmodernism and Security Challenges in the Developing World. So this is much more of a kind of international relations and if you will, security article. Again, I'm not so sure if it's that useful here. If it is going to try to school us on this, the idea that it's a rejection of grand narratives, again, I'm not sure if I would have gone to this article by Dominguez, published in 2021. I probably would have gone to some of the more traditional and more classic texts, right? And then let's see, number 3, what does it go to? Again, it goes to Semantic Scholar. Another article, again, from an author I'm not familiar with, James Bowman, from postmodernism to posthumanism, talking about ethos in an age of the pandemic. So again, I'm not so sure of these three citations, which are also listed here in the bottom here. And there's a fourth citation as well. Let's click on that. What does it take? Again, it takes us to the Semantic Scholar. So I'm not so sure if that's that useful. We did use the academic, if you will, feature. It does, of course, provide us more academic, and I can go back to the here are the academic citations. These are the 4 academic citations. Again, I'm not sure if that's that useful. But what else could we ask? We can say, who's an author in this debate? I've typed it out as well. Let's paste it in. Who's an important author in this debate? Let's see what it tells us. So that's quite good. That is true. I think Frederick Jameson is an important author, not least of which because he wrote this seminal article in 1983, which was later developed into a book called Postmodernism or the Cultural Logic of Late Capitalism, which was published in 1991. So that is good. Maybe we can ask it, can you please expand and explain its importance? So this is more like it's a short article, a short paragraph. It says it's looking at of different fields. It looks at a wide landscape of art from high to low, which is true. Okay. So is that useful? Yes, I think it is useful. I think in terms of the citations, they're not so great. It's really misleading you. It's not really taking you to the classic text. Once I say who's an important author, it does identify, I think, the most important author. And let's see what Chat GPT says. So let's compare it to its parent, right? So I've got it already loaded up here. Before I started this video, I already preloaded the question, explain postmodernism. And it does. It takes its time and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I think it's a pretty good explanation. It doesn't cite, so that's its, if you will, Achilles heel. But when I asked the question, which I just asked Perplexity, what's an important author in this debate? It actually names a number of authors, not just one. It names Jean-Francois Lyotard, Jacques Derrida, Michel Foucault, Jean Baudrillard, Judith Butler, and Richard Rorty. These are, of course, important authors in, if you will, critical theory, or if you will, in French philosophy or continental philosophy in general. But it doesn't actually, it's interesting, it doesn't actually name Frederick Jameson, who I think should be in this list. Anyways, so then I asked that very question that I asked Perplexity AI, is Frederick Jameson important to this debate? And why? Yes, it says, oh, yes, Jameson is indeed an important figure in this debate, blah, blah, blah. It says that it talks about the book. It talks about fragmentation, explains the blah, blah, blah. It's quite good. So if I'm comparing this just two prompt interaction with Chat GPT with this more multiple, if you will, also two prompt, but more multiple, I think, engagement, because I'm also trying to understand why it is that Perplexity AI has made these bullets, if you will, these 5 bullets. I guess maybe if I kept interacting and kept prompting, that Perplexity AI could be very useful with this academic feature turned on. But I think the citations are very poor. So I'm not so sure if the academic, if you will, this feature, clicking on academic, narrowing it down to basically what it seems to be the majority of the citations are from Semantic Scholar, which I guess is useful, but the ones like Semantic Scholar is useful, but the citations it finds, they are not, if you will, key articles to help a student or a scholar understand the debate around postmodernity. Not at all, in fact, I would say. I think it's leading you in the wrong direction. So I would say it gets a poor grade in that sense. Okay. And yeah, so, and let's just compare that with, I think, what I did last time in the previous video. I asked it to, explain postmodernism, but just look at, if you will, refer to articles that are highly ranked by Google Scholar, right? And then provide the citations. And I think if you do that, that's actually superior to just relying on the academic tab, right? I think, if I'm not mistaken, the citations are, well, I don't think, well, yes, the hidden cultural issues in postmodernism. This is if you will, papers from a conference from 2020. That's probably not that useful either, but it would probably be an interesting update to the debate around postmodernity. What's the third citation here? Again, takes us back to Semantic Scholar again. However, here's the difference. It actually points us, I think, to one of the key articles in this debate, the one written by Frederick Jameson. So by putting the and then the last citation here. Yeah, it's taking me to a journal, dystopian in Max Berry's Jennifer. Yeah, that's not very useful. Max Berry is a science fiction author, and he wrote a book called Jennifer's Government. Bigger. I'm not so sure if that's that useful, right? Again, interesting, but certainly if I'm really interested in like what is postmodernism, what are the key issues, who are the important authors attached to this discourse and debate, I would not have picked an article about Max Berry's science fiction novel, Jennifer's Government. Anyways, okay, so there you go. So I think it's a mixed bag. I'm not so sure if it's that useful for helping a student or a scholar or a grad student understand, if you will, or inject themselves into a larger, if you will, intellectual debate. Again, I think it's good for providing basic, if you will, framework and, if you will, citations. But I think, your mileage may vary. Okay, so now let's go back to the original Perplexity window. And then the other feature I wanted to update with this, if you will, addendum, is this copilot. So let's turn that on. Let's turn copilot on. And then now let's ask copilot, which is GPT-4. Let's ask it to explain postmodernism. And I haven't tried this, so I'm wondering if the results will be different. Let's see. Okay, searching the web. So it is actually telling you it's going outside of the training data set of GPT-4. It's looking outside to the web. It's looking at the definition, the characteristics, examples. Here we go. I'll read this out loud because this is useful now to see whether or not GPT-4 is superior to GPT 3.5. Postmodernism is an intellectual stance or mode of discourse characterized by skepticism toward the grand narratives of modernism, rejection of epistemic certainty, or the stability of meaning, and sensitivity to the role of ideology in maintaining political power. It's a mouthful, but it's accurate. It emerged as a reaction against modernism, which was characterized by a radical break from traditional forms of prose and verse. Postmodernism challenges worldviews associated with Enlightenment, rationality dating back to the 17th century, associated with relativism, and a focus on the role of ideology and the maintenance of economic. Yeah, okay, yeah. Key concerns are deconstruction of grand narratives. Sure. It's also characterized by anti-authoritism, refusal to recognize the authority of a single style or different. I guess so, that's true. Such thinkers as Baudrillard, Derrida, Foucault, Lyotard, the ones that were already cited by Chat GPT, again, is referred to here again. It stands in contrast to most other sociological theories in that it rejects the Enlightenment project. Okay, yeah, it's not bad. I think so. But by just asking it that question, explain postmodernism. It's also looking at Wikipedia, helpful for us, or the MoMA website, Study Smarter, and Simply Sociology. Again, I don't think those are very strong citations. So could we help it by having a more fulsome prompt? Explain postmodernism, only refer to articles highly ranked by Google. Well, does it say to that? Because it should be able to access, if you will, Google Scholar, since it has this copilot, has access to the web. And so that's my second question. So now I guess I have 3 questions left, because through this API, through Perplexity AI, it's allowing me 5 free questions or queries or prompts to GPT-4. Continue. Okay. Oh, so that's quite good. So it's considering 39 results from Google Scholar, a number. I won't look through that. And then now it's reorganizing its answer in relationship to these 39 results. Okay. Postmodern is a complex, multifaceted term, contemporary aspects of philosophy art. It's a rejection of grand narrative. Again, this is very similar, I think almost verbatim, but it is a bit more, if you will, well edited. I think the first answer was a bit wordy, and this is stronger in terms of its editing. In art literature, characterized self-referentiality. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So there you go. And then what is it? Why is it? Oh, it's interesting. It's actually referring to actual scholars that are linked on Google Scholar. Okay. Again, I'm not sure if that's very useful. I think it'd be more interesting to see how it considered these 39 results. I don't actually know what's happening in terms of these 39 results. It's saying it's looking at something that Matthias Stefan looked at from Arcus University, but I'd have no idea where Stefan's, if you will, impact on this answer is. So not very useful in that sense. It is more thorough, but I'm not so sure if it's that useful in that sense. Okay, so I'll unshare the screen. So yeah, so is Perplexity AI useful when we allow it, when we select the academic feature? Yes, it's useful, but it really only looks at, if you recall, semantic scholar citations. So not so useful. And also it's referring often to very recent, if you will, uses or references to this term postmodernism. So I'm not so sure if you're saying, if you wanted to explain a topic to you, a particular debate within social science humanities, it's not able to do that, I think, or not with good, if you will, citations. When we ask it, well, don't just rely on Semantic Scholar. Why don't you look at Google Scholar and the highly ranked, if you will, articles in that database? I'm not so sure if it did so well. It seemed to consider these 39 results through Google Scholar, but again, I'm not sure where the information comes from. The citation is not very useful or very strong in that sense, right? If you recall, if you use something in some of my other videos where I talk about, I would review ChatDoc, ChatPDF, Humata, and then another that I should be doing soon, Redoc. These programs all actually cite and then also identify the passages from which the answer is derived. So much superior to Perplexity. And when we compared it, I think, to just plain GPT, Chat GPT, you know, Chat GPT, plain Chat GPT through its own original interface is, I think, quite well, you know, the answer is well appointed in the sense it's well organized. And I thought it was very useful in terms of its length and also its, if you will, voice or style of academic, if you will, speech. Would I use Perplexity AI in the future? I'm not so sure. It seems it is useful. I think it is useful if you're thinking of it as something that's in addition to or adjacent to, say, Google or Google Scholar. It can be useful in that sense. Would I use would I come back and use Perplexity's interface with ChatGPT 4? Yes, I would, because that's an interesting opportunity to have, if you will, every 4 hours, 5 possible questions for this paid service, which Otherwise, unless you're a paid subscriber to GPT Plus, you wouldn't have access to them. So Perplexity is useful for that new feature of allowing you 5 questions every 4 hours to ask GPT-4. But I'm not so sure if the feature clicking it on academic, I'm not so sure if that will necessarily make the academic scholarship research and answers any better. I'm not sure if it helps us as people who want to know about what postmodernism is. I'm just using that as an example. If we want to know more about this term, this debate, this discourse, I'm not so sure asking it to explain it to you is really actually inserting you into that debate. It's providing, I think, a sense of being inserted into that debate, but not with, I think, very much grounded comprehension. Okay, so there you go. So that's my thoughts on Perplexity AI. My third post on Perplexity AI. So my apologies for not getting it right the first time. Okay, see you next time.